President Bola Tinubu will tomorrow morning swear in all ministers designated at the State House Conference Center, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Mr. President had last week assigned portfolios to the newly appointed ministers, including former Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, who will take charge of the FCT, and his counterpart from Ebonyi, David Umahi, who will oversee the ministerial works. Former KB and Zamfara State Governors Mohammed Bagudu and Bello Matawali were named Minister and Minister of State for Defense, while the immediate past Governor of Osun, Adegboyega Oyetola, is to mount the Ministry of Transportation. Governor Ademola Adeleke has inaugurated local government caretaker chairman, where he issued 5-point admonitions and directed them to compete thoroughly and through developmental initiatives for their various areas. Governor Adeleke, who justified his action on the need to fill an existing vacuum at the local level, said his government has kick-started a process that will produce a democratically elected local government system in the nearest future. And bearing any last-minute change, the staff audit consultant will tomorrow appear before the Osun State House of Assembly for an interactive session following petitions submitted to the House against her, with a view to giving her side of the story to the petition. Relevant stakeholders, including labor leaders in the ongoing staff audit, with any information that can be helpful, are also expected. And with that, I welcome you on board this week's edition of Sunday Extra, your Sunday evening tonic, from the stable of the News and Current Affairs Department of OSBC Radio, 104.5 FM, Voice of the West, Nigeria. My name is Olushayo Babatunde, your regular uncle. Above all, let's have the main gist of the entire package containing the hard, the soft, and the human understories. Osun government denies collecting 2,000 naira from residents. Serap urges Tinubu to prevent former governors from collecting pensions as ministers. Header arrested for allegedly chopping off man's hands. And Sunday Extra looks at illegal collection of Owoile at building sites by touts. Governor Ademola Adeleke has warned against religious conflict and confrontations in Osun State, affirming that all adherents of various religions should operate peacefully. Responding to the altercation between the Oluwo of Iwoland and the Traditional Religious Worshippers Association on the celebration of Ishesi Festival, Governor Adeleke deployed his special advisor on security, Mr. Samuel Ojo, to Iwo for urgent interface with both sides. The special advisor, who was at Oluwo's palace at Iwo, met various stakeholders, but not a telephone conversation with Oluwo, who was out of town. He also had interactions with some traditionalists who had vowed to convert on Iwo land to challenge the traditional ruler who had reportedly banned traditionalists from his domain. The commissioner, who insisted that peaceful coexistence is a must, and any group that breaches the existing peace in the state will have security operatives to contend with, said traditionalists are free to exercise their fundamental human rights, but must act within the bounds of the law. In the meantime, Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has approved tomorrow as a public holiday in commemoration of the annual Ishesi Day Festival by traditional religious worshippers. This is contained in a statement by the State Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Oluomakolakbo Alime. The governor, while congratulating all traditional religious worshippers and wishing them happy celebrations, also implored them to make the occasion not only peaceful and fun-filled, but another opportunity to pray for the government and the good people of Osun State. It therefore wishes Ishesi adherents a peaceful and rewarding celebration. In another development, the Osun State government and Osun Internal Revenue Service (OIRS) have debunked the news spreading around the state that the administration of Governor Ademola Adeleke is collecting 2,000 naira from all business owners and shops in the state. This is contained in a statement today in Osogbo by the Executive Chairman OIRS Prince Shola Wadewumi. It adds that the report is purported by some unscrupulous beings trying to tarnish the good image of Governor Adeleke. The Osun Internal Revenue Service, however, explains that the agency is only asking for 200 naira per month and to be paid through a designated POS machine with a unique identification form from IOS office only. The statement therefore enjoins members of the public to disregard the false news and hand over anyone caught asking for more than 200 naira per month over to the police to serve as scapegoats. To save Osun from environmental degradation, Governor Ademola Adeleke has approved the planting of 100,000 seedlings of trees across the state. The Commissioner for Environment and Sanitation, Honorable Mayowa Adejo, already disclosed these on the Maliayo, a state-national program on OSB radio and television channels. Honorable Adejo noted that the governor knows the benefits of trees in the society as the only source of oxygen that man derives to live, saying if there are no trees, life will cease on earth. He lauded the governor for taking proactive steps to prevent flooding of unimaginable magnitude in Osun State, as predicted by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET), which listed Osun among states to witness flooding this year. He added that if the government had not taken proactive measures, the devastating effects of flooding recorded in parts of the state would have been enormous. According to him, as part of its erosion and flood control, the present administration of Osun State has continued to embark on dredging of streams, rivers and waterways to ensure free flow of water. He pointed out that the government, through the Ministry of Environment and Sanitation, as well as the Ministry of Works, have begun clearing of overgrown bushes on road median and road verges across the state in order to prevent auto accidents. The Commissioner for Environment and Sanitation, however, appealed to the people to desist from dumping refuse into waterways when it is raining, as such could aggravate avoidable disaster. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged President Bola Tinubu to publicly instruct the former governors who are now serving as ministers in his administration to stop collecting life pensions, exotic cars, and other allowances from their states while they serve as ministers. In a letter signed by SERAP Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, the organization urged the president to instruct the former governors to immediately return any pension and allowances that they may have collected since leaving office in the public treasury. According to SERAP, the affected former governors are Badaru Abubakar, Nyesom Wike, Bello Matawali, Adegwego Oyetola, David Umahi, Simon Lalong, Atiku Bagudu, and Ibrahim Gedam. Future Nigerian Movement (FNM) has called on the federal government and civil society organizations to activate a process to monitor state governors on the usage of the 5 billion naira subsidy palliative released to them by the presidency. It also urged the federal government to treat reviving of the nation's refineries as national emergency, saying that predominant issues are affecting all sectors of the economy. Speaking in Port Harcourt, the leader of FNM, Livingstone Wechie, noted that the fund released by the federal government was a clear indication that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu knew that the issues of removal of subsidy are affecting Nigerians adversely, stressing that everything in the country revolves around the energy sector, while noting that the best subsidy people of the nation would prefer is to see their refineries work optimally, advised that the CSO should be included in monitoring the palliative to ensure that it meets its purpose. Senators from the northern part of the country have expressed concern over the increasing level of insecurity across their geopolitical zones. Lamenting the incessant killings and attacks in the region, the Senate Chief Whip, Senator Ali Ndume, noted that the issue is out of hand as bandits are taking over things across the north. The lawmaker further lamented that when the bandits unleashed terror on the people, soldiers had to run away and leave them and only came back after normalcy had returned. Other lawmakers, including Senators Abdulaziz Yari, Adamu Alero, Muhammadu Munguno, Kawu Abdurrahman, Somaila Kaila, Aliz Bilbis, Sani Musa, and Aminu Tambuwal also lamented killings and banditry in the region, particularly in Zamfara State. Earlier, Senator Yari condemned the killings and banditry attacks in 5 local governments in Zamfara State, which include Maru, Bogbudu, Bukium, Anka, and Maradun. The former Zamfara State governor lamented that the state is surrounded by 2 major forests, Sugugu and Rugu, which provide cover for the bandits, making Zamfara State more vulnerable to such attacks than any other state in the northern part of the country. He therefore urged the federal government to deploy modern technology like drones to monitor the operations of the bandits. Plateau State Police Command says it has arrested a herdsman identified as Abdurrahman Gila for allegedly cutting off a farmer's hand in Lakushi community, Shendam local government area of the state. It should be recalled that a video of the farmer holding his severed right hand with blood dripping on the ground circulated on social media last week. He was overheard in the short video telling some men that a Fulani herder cut off his hand because he asked him, the herder, to move his cattle out of his farm. The farmer, who was seen bleeding profusely, was then advised by two men to go to the hospital for treatment while the report is sent to the police. The spokesperson for Plateau State Police Command, Ala Boad Fred, confirmed the arrest in Jos, adding that arrangements have been concluded to arraign the suspect in court. Analysts have described the data released by the World Statistics placing Nigeria to be second highest with unemployment of youths as a time bomb. They are of the opinion that if youth unemployment is not immediately addressed, the nation will continue to tour the path of underdevelopment in all spheres. Rachel Ademigoke has the story.
The World Statistics recently placed South Africa as having the highest number of unemployed youth, with 62.1%, followed by Nigeria with 53.4%, Spain 27.9%, while Sweden and Serbia have 24.9%. South Korea with 6.1%, Hong Kong with 5.5%, Japan 4.2%, Kazakhstan 3.6%, and Switzerland 1.8% are the nations with the lowest rankings of unemployed youth. The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigerian youth are some of the worst affected by unemployment, with about 13.9 million unemployed youth in the country. Apart from lacking educational qualifications and skills needed for labor market, Nigeria has witnessed an economic slump, an unequal growth rate, an unmotivated youth populace, and gender imbalance. Reacting to this, a civil servant, Mr. Adeoti Olayiwola, points out that in order to tame the high youth unemployment in the country, Nigeria's educational system needs to be revitalized.
For us to address this situation, our educational curriculum needs to be revisited. The kind of education we are getting, you are taught to write applications, you are taught to prepare accounts. We need to go deep into entrepreneurship. And beyond entrepreneurship is our technical know-how. If you compare economy like Japan, Korea, and China, you will see how their youths, which are in technical colleges, what they are doing.
Mr. Olushola Ajala, the special advisor to the governor of Osun State on public communication, is of the opinion that government should be held accountable for the rate of unemployment amongst the youths of Nigeria.
You know, the government is always paying lip service to things like this. What is more important is the government itself to be aware of its responsibilities, because for now, the government doesn't see the 65% population of Nigeria as anything. Youth constitute 65% of the population of this country, and we take them for granted a lot. Evident in what we saw at the EndSARS.
Experts have said the absence of jobs in the country is the reason for high crime rates. This is in the fulfillment of an adage that says an idle hand is a devil's workshop. An economist, Dr. Yinka Anjus, identified 3 reasons for the high rates of youth unemployment in the country. There are lack of stable electricity government policies that are not supporting the youth, by increasing retirement age of public servants and unemployability of most of the youth.
For the public sector, the greatest problem is employability. And generally speaking, lack of succession planning by the government. Employability starts from the youth seeking the job. Does he have what it takes to be employed in that job he's seeking? Even when the job is gotten, does he have work ethics?
There is also a school of thought that believes that some youth have fundamental problems and are not ready to sacrifice in any way.
Yes, some youths are lazy. They are not ready to work at all. Even given the fact that they have opportunities, they can take it and even sell it. So we need to address those youths. That is not the way to go.
Rachel Ademigoke reporting for OSBC News.
The National Association of Nigerian Traditional Medicine Practitioners, now NANTMP, has remembers the originator, Alhaji Taniyu Adeoti, 20 years after his death. A statement by the association on behalf of the family says Alhaji Taniyu Adeoti who was the Ashik during his lifetime, volunteered his complete building to NANTMP and worked very hard to make the association great. Noting that the deceased will be happy to see how progressive the body is today, the statement noted that the association will never forget his efforts while making sure that his name is written with gold at the association's national headquarters. It therefore prayed for the repose of his soul. Spain have beaten European champions England 1-0 to become the Women's World Cup champions today in a final at the stadium in Australia, Sydney. Captain Olga Carmona fired Spain ahead in the 29th minute, coolly finishing in the right-hand corner after a rapid counter-attack. England's best chance came from Lauren Helm, who rattled the crossbar with a powerful strike, as both teams built to win the World Cup for the first time. The game was briefly interrupted by a fan running on the pitch wearing a Free Ukraine t-shirt, the four being tackled by the security. Spain were only denied a second goal when England goalkeeper Mary Eves saved a second-half penalty from Jennifer Hermoso. And now to Sunday Extra Purple. The society has for a while been belligeration of the menace of some youths who forcefully and undress extort property developers at construction sites. Sunday Extra takes a look at the unsavory experience of the property developers and artisans such as bricklayers and carpenters at building sites. Sit back and enjoy so you know this report.
Food, clothing, as well as housing remain the essential needs of men. Out of the three basic essential needs, housing stands out as mostly required by men, as every man needs a place to rest after an hectic day at office, shops, professional fields. Building a house involves legal acquisition of land at a given price and subsequently certified at the State Ministry of Land and Physical Planning. This is followed by mobilizing artisans and building materials to the site to embark on the construction of the structure as designed by the architects. Over the years, there have been tales recounted by landowners, property developers, as well as artisans of terrifying encounters with syndicates who extort money tagged land levy or Owoile at building sites. The menace became prevalent in Osun State some 10 years ago, and the nefarious activities have continued to grow in leaps and bounds. The homeowner and chairman of Hallelujah Estate, Osogbo, Mr. Adedotun Duduyemi, shared the experience of property developers.
They come with guns. There was a day personally I engaged them. The structure is about linted. They said they will remove everything. But that very day, after we faced them, they don't know I've called the police. They traumatize the people that want to just started building. Collect 300,000, 200,000. Unfortunately, if I can even mention their name, we know their names. But these people, they become group by group. It's very disastrous if you have that kind of people in our society.
In the same vein, the chairman of Community Development Council, Alhaji Mufutau Adeboye, recalled incidents witnessed by him.
Tí àwọn carpenter bá ti lọ bíṣẹ́ tàbí àwọn bricklayer lọ bíṣẹ́ tí wọ́n jẹ́ kí wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ wọn tí wọ́n máa bá àwọn agbowó lẹ̀ láì jẹ́ pé wọ́n ń ta ìwọ̀n ara rẹ̀. Kíní tí wàá dàbí ẹni pé ó ti dàrú débi wípé ó ti fẹ́ máa fa ìtàjẹ̀ sílẹ̀ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun.
Apparently fed up by the nefarious acts, artisans of various fields converged on the palace of the Ataja of Osogbo, Obajimo Olanipekun. The artisans, led by Comrade Wahid Adedokun, also recounted nasty experience with the extortionists at building sites, including beating, maiming, destruction of building materials, and in some cases, the property.
We came here for the progress of our union, Osun State Artisans Workers Union. I beg our governors, Commissioner, KBC, SSS, Commissioner of Police to apologize for the boys, areas boys within our state to give us chance to do our works for our daily bread.
The carpenter, Mr. Moshood Sulaiman, who was among the protesting artisans, also painted a frightening details of his encounter with the local gang.
Tí wọ́n bá dé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí náà wà lọ́dún tó lọ èèyàn méjì náà pa ní estate tí wọ́n lọ bù mọ́nú sọ́kàwé tí kì bá jẹ́ pé ní ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ Ọlọ́run àti orí tí ó padà lẹ́yìn onílé kì bá ti bọ́nu wàhálà di òní.
They therefore call on the state government and other stakeholders to provide an enabling environment that would allow them to ply their trade without any harassment at their duty post. Mr. Adedotun Duduyemi said homeowners at Hallelujah Estate, Oshogbo, have put machinery in place to repel anyone attempting to extort money from property developers in the area.
Simon Grand, we liaise with the Commissioner of Police, Divisional Police, and Area Commander. Anytime they come around to threat people that constructed their building, we all liaise together with all the committee. We have committee on ground, security committee, headed by the CP Asabi, and we have all their members. They were in touch. We are using them to make sure that these people, anytime they were around, we raise alarm to make sure that they don't collect money from the builder or their building are ongoing.
The State Police Commissioner, Mr. Kende Longe, said the command has zero tolerance for criminality and that has made arrests in the past and will continue the trend.
A lot of them were arrested and charged to court. But you know, it's still a billable offense. And it boils down to the fact that we need to educate our youths and get them properly employed so they'll be useful to society and useful to themselves. Most of these people do it. They never do wells and stuff like that, but we'll continue to rate them. And those ones we catch, the rest assured, I don't compromise, they must go to court.
In his perspective, the newly appointed caretaker chairman of Oshogbo local government area, Mr. Kande Taiwo, expressed optimism that the administration of Governor Ademola Adeleke is committed towards engaging the youth productively in stemming the ugly trend. Observers were of the opinion that the prevailing ugly trend of extorting money at building sites need to be tackled headlong by the police and other security agencies, as well as stakeholders in ensuring accelerated developments and peaceful atmosphere across the state. For Sunday Extra, Sonya Olonrinde reporting.
State government and Australia Internal Revenue Service, or RS, have debunked the news spreading around the state that the administration of Governor Ademola Adeleke is collecting 2,000 naira from all business owners and shops in the state. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SIRAP, has urged President Bola Tinubu to publicly instruct the former governors who are now serving as ministers in his administration to stop collecting life pensions and cars and other allowances from their states where they serve as ministers. And Plateau State Police Command has arrested a hitman identified as Abdurrahman Keida for allegedly cutting off a farmer's hand in Zakushi community, Shendak local government area of the state. And Sunday Extra this week took a look at Savoury experience of property builders in the hands of area boys who extort them as building sites. And with that, we'll come to the end of this week's edition of Sunday Extra. Special thanks to the Secretarial Assistant, Agunbi Ade Olagboju, and the video officer, Jumoke Oladipo, not forgetting Olushola Egbedofo, and Nafisat Oyedele for their needed support from the sidelines. On behalf of the executive producer, Abiodun Lalire, producer for this edition is Latif Akbola. I remain yours sincerely, Olushaya Babate, saying times are hard. Make sure you help someone these hard times. Have a fulfilling working week. Good evening.